Do you have a Super Bowl pick?
I do. And I don't do this lightly. If anybody's ever heard me from my radio days through this, I am not a homer by any stretch of the imagination. I know we're talking very glowingly about the Bengals because they deserve to be talked glowingly about. It's a good football team. I have them beating the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Wow. I mean, that's what everyone's been talking about ever since these two teams kind of came back to life over the last few years, is what if they met up again and did the repeat, the whole Joe Montana game, reenact it. Hopefully the Bengals end up on top and Joe Burrow has his day in the sun this time. If you're a Cincinnati fan, that would be an incredible storyline.
It really would.
This city. That's as good as it gets, really.
You win your first Super Bowl by exercising the demons of two 49ers losses, right?
Yeah. Oh, man, that would be incredible. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. The whole thing with a lot of people picking the Bengals this year, I've seen, Bengals over the Cowboys, I think was the AP's prediction.
I love the Cowboys.
Last day, and which I actually like that call too. I think that's a legitimate possibility this year. And I think in the NFC, it feels pretty wide open. The Eagles are clearly the best team. Them or the 49ers, I think, are clearly the best teams. But it kind of feels like this might be a year where a dark horse wins the NFC because it does feel a little weaker at the top. I'm going to say Bengals beat the Saints. I'm going to say Derek Carr makes the Saints the surprise team in the NFC, and they make a run to the Super Bowl with Derek Carr.
I would feel good for Derek Carr because I think he's a really good quarterback who was very maligned in Oakland/Las Vegas.
I do too. I think he's been in two kind of crappy situations. He's actually pretty darn good, especially if he's in the right situation. I think he's one of those quarterbacks he's definitely not an elite guy. He's not in the Burrow or Mahomes or any of those types of round, but he's probably somewhat, depending on how big you make that second or tier, he's in the second or third tier of guys, I think, talent-wise. And if you put him around all the right pieces, which I don't know if the Saints have exactly that, but I do think they have a pretty damn good defense. And I think Chris Olave is really good. And if Mike Williams comes back to life here.
Mike Thomas
comes back to life here. I've read something about Mike Williams earlier who died. The receiver, former Bills receiver, I think.
Bills in Tampa. Yeah, Bills in Tampa.
Yeah. Anyway, if Mike Thomas comes back to life and can be maybe not his old form, but something close to, I think the Saints have a chance to surprise people. And again, I'm kind of picking a dark horse name here because I think the NFC is weak at the top.
So